Welcome back, everybody. It is Jeff and Justin here, the Frustrated Rockstars. Back again with some talk and roll from the Atlanta Brewing Company here in Atlanta, Georgia. Some great stuff here, and we thank them for having us. Tonight, we're going to talk about supergroups and spin-off bands.
It's not Supertramp.
There's kind of a difference there.
Yes, there is a difference.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit in tonight's headliner. But before we get started, let's check out the opening act. Big news. Not a surprise, though. Phil Spector found guilty of murder in the second degree or whatever it was.
Well, he was trying to get manslaughter, which would have been like 3 to 5.
Do you think he's Vince Neil?
Yeah.
Sign it or drop it.
I say sign it. From what I hear, he is nuts.
Yes, absolutely.
When he was recording End of the Century, which is a Ramones album, they said he was crazy. And when the Ramones call you crazy, you got to be pretty up the tree. You know what I'm saying? They supposedly he has these wild LA parties, and he will like lock everybody into his mansion and have, drugs and coke and crazy stuff was going on, and he'd come running out with pistols and guns and shoot them off. Nobody wants guns shut off at 1 in the morning when they're all wired on coke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I say sign it too, absolutely, because there's so many stories of him pulling out guns. It was just one of those things, and he did it. I mean, I don't know, maybe he didn't do it on purpose, but
the defense said that the woman he killed, Dana something.
Lana Clarkson.
Lana Clarkson, right? The actress. She was 40. She committed suicide because she thought she was washed up and her career was over.
No.
But where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
This is not the first time. This isn't the 5th time.
Right. Why couldn't he just lock everyone up and make people listen to music
and have fun?
Yes, I mean that's all you got to do if you're a famous producer.
We've all been around that guy that wants to pull out a gun at the party.
Oh,
go out, put it away. No, don't point it at me. No. He was that guy.
Yeah.
So I say sign it, put him in jail. The guy's nuts. But his contribution to rock and roll will always be there. The wall of sound.
His legacy will remain, but he's in jail.
Yeah, he's in jail and he needs to be there.
Okay. All right, let's move on to tonight's headliner. And tonight's headliner brought to you by Teaseria.com. You can order some cool T-shirts.
I smell cool.
They're custom made like a pizza, and they actually ship it to you in a pizza box.
Very cool.
Teaseria.com and use the coupon code ROCK, and you'll get 15% off.
Yeah, in these trying economic times, why not?
Yeah, 15% off.
You can look cool, 15% cheaper.
Yeah, and maybe you can get a shirt of a supergroup.
Ooh, nice.
Now, supergroups, like I think most recently, Velvet Revolver would be the most well-known. You had the guys from Guns N' Roses, Scott Weiland from STP. Now, we were kind of talking about this subject. Is there a difference between supergroups and spin-off bands? When like two guys go off and do something else.
Yeah, well, that's a side project. That's a side project. I think that a supergroup is when you've got at least 2 well-known people
established
converging into a band. Mm-hmm. A good example would be like The Firm, where you had Paul Rodgers from Bad Company and
Jimmy Page.
Of course.
So you have to be a supergroup.
That's a super. And a spin-off is when you have one guy who leads the band, gets, when I say unknowns, they might have been famous studio musicians.
Right.
But not guys that are
famous. For other bands.
Right. Mike and the Mechanics would be an example of that.
Yes.
For Mike Rutherford from Genesis, he was the big guy.
To this day, I don't even know the singer's name.
I don't either. I can picture him, though. It's funny, he was balding, too.
Yeah.
Like Phil Collins. He actually kind of looked like him.
And my favorite spin-off band, I guess, would be Rainbow. If Richie Blackmore from Deep Purple spun off and kind of did his own thing with Ronnie James Dio originally. And, man, they made some great music. If you like classic rock, Rainbow is awesome. And then later on, Jolynn Turner came and sang, and Roger Glover from Deep Purple. So it was 2 guys from Deep Purple.
Well, I was going to say, that whole band, I mean, you could make a tree, family tree. There's guys in Whitesnake from that band. There's Deep Purple.
Yeah.
It goes on and on
and on. So those are all kind of spin-offs. Yeah. Now, what's Biv DeVoe? That's a spin-off.
That's a spin-off because they were all, well, that's a good one.
Because they're all
famous, but they were all a New Edition.
Right. What did they get tired of? They get tired of Bobby Brown? How did that work?
No, Bobby Brown got tired. It was Ralph Tresvant and Bobby Brown were the other 2 members of New Edition, and they both broke off to have solo careers.
Right, Bobby Brown blew up big time.
Oh God, he was huge for a while.
So that would be a hip hop spinoff.
But you would think supergroup, but it's not. It was a spinoff. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah. One more where they spun off 2 groups was Duran Duran in the 80s.
Right.
They spun off and did Arcadia. That was Simon Le Bon and Nick Rhodes. And then there was the Power Station.
If you want to lunch your life, all you gonna do it.
Robert Palmer was.
I know I got the lyrics wrong. Send me your emails.
That's kind of both, because Robert Palmer was already somewhat established, and of course, John Taylor and Andy Taylor from Duran Duran were on there. Their producer was Bernard Edwards, who was one half of Chic. He was Nile Rodgers' partner in Chic.
Well, I'll give you.
He produced them. So
I'll give you another one. You talked about Velvet Revolver. Really, Guns N' Roses was sort of a supergroup of sorts if you were around the Sunset Strip in the mid-'80s, early to mid-'80s, because they were in a band called Hollywood Rose. It was Axl Rose, lead singer, and Tracy Guns, who formed LA Guns on guitar. And so one formed LA Guns and one formed Guns N' Roses.
That's
a little more,
supergroup before everyone made it.
Right.
Okay.
I just had to get that in.
Well, yeah, that's some great stuff. So if you guys have comments about that, email us info@thefrustratedrockstars.com or leave some comments at YouTube. We got some good feedback.
Oh yeah,
we get some.
You
good
guys
feedback.
are great.
And we will get to the encore in just a minute. But first, let's do some solo riffs. My car got stolen last week. So I'm driving around my wife's car, and all it has is a radio and a tape player.
Wow.
Tapes, Jerry.
Wow.
So I'm pulling out some tapes, and I'm listening to tapes, and I was thinking, if you grew up in the tape generation like Justin and I did,
oh yeah,
you are forced to listen to complete albums, not like CDs. Vinyl, yeah, but you could still skip around. But tapes, you were forced to listen to the entire album. I think that's part of what made us bigger music fans.
My solo riff today is about Billy Bob Thornton. Billy Bob, I'm sure that if Tom Petty had won an Oscar award, he wouldn't mind people mentioning that when he does the Rolling Stone cover interview. Oh yeah, and by the way, I think he'd finish a tour even if he got booed. If you want to be a musician, be a musician. All right, now that you're back with your beer during the solo riff, it's time for the encore. What do we got in the encore tonight, Jeff?
Well, we've got some great stuff, some great names too, some usernames on YouTube. This is from Element Skater 94.
Wow, Jeff knows how to ollie.
There you go. Now we can understand. Commenting on what is selling out. Sure. And this is a hot topic, especially when it comes to Metallica. He says, I hate when people say Metallica sold out. They never sold out. They changed their style a bit on Load and Reload and Saint Anger. And they specifically said they wanted to see what other musical potential they had. I agree with them totally. I don't think Metallica sold out ever. I think they just doing what they do, and hell, it's worked, right?
What's what? They're gonna sell every album they put out. It's gonna sell millions of copies. They've got that built-in fan base. I don't know if they're for a while there they gained a bunch of new fans by doing a few ballads and doing some videos. They got the non-metal fans to get on the bus.
That's what people. That's the problem
with they can't do 9-minute songs forever with just all these parts.
Yeah.
We've got 5 albums of that to enjoy. Let's face it, they're not 22 anymore drinking Jaeger shots at 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
These are 45-year-old men with, grown-up children. Yeah. So they matured. They didn't sell out, they matured. They can't sing about the depths of fire, forever.
Right.
So now, I don't see it as a sellout, I just see it as a maturation process.
Yeah, and that's kind of what he's saying. They want to see what else they could do.
And you look at Saint Anger, that was recorded a certain way. What is that, mono, or if you've heard the album, it's like the snares.
I don't know. It's on that damn Macintosh. That damn Macintosh Pro Tools.
No, they recorded like a garage album. They didn't do anything.
Yeah, they still recorded on that machine. That's what made the sound.
I'm just saying that they wanted to try some different things. I don't see any problem with that.
I'm glad that there's other people who don't think Metallica sold out, but they're still Metallica fans.
They're incredible musicians, and as musicians, they want to try ply their trade and do something artistic, and not just record the same album over and over again.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, that's a great comment there. Thanks to Element Skater 94. You can leave them too at YouTube or email us directly, info@thefrustratedrockstars.com. And thank you so much for joining us. Until next time,
we will be here at the Atlanta Brewing Company
enjoying our music.
Mother's milk.
Of course, is that the chili peppers or?
No, the beer.
Okay, the beer, yeah.
We haven't started yet.
Yeah, okay,
We're just getting our lips wet here.